Hello again. It's me Janer. Today I am with you with another video. Today we are gonna record second pilot talk. Yeah, it's gonna be the second video of pilot talk series. Today we are gonna talk about February 2022's flight. Alright, let's get started. The first flight of the month on the 1st of February, I flew to Riyadh. Riyadh is a short flight. The first sector was 1 hour 49 minutes and return sector was 1 hour 42 minutes. In this flight, I was a safety pilot. What is safety pilot? Basically, safety pilot sits on the jump seat and observe the flights. You are on active duty, you are not deadheading, but you cannot log these flights because you are sitting on jump seat. You are not actively participating the flight, but as a whole, you are on active duty. You are getting paid for these flights. These flights we are not having that much, to be honest. Time to time, when new cadets or new pilots or inexperienced pilots are joining the company, you can fly this kind of flights, but not that much. You are there to support inexperienced pilot. So when you start your career for the certain amount of sectors, you always have safety pilots. Let me give you my example. When I joined Turkish Airlines as a pilot, for the first 6 sectors, I had a safety pilot with me. After 6 sectors, when you demonstrate a good landing, safe landing actually, not a good landing, but a safe landing, then safety pilot has been removed from your flights. That's basically it. That was a short flight. The routing from Dubai to Riyadh is over Bahrain airspace. Bahrain airspace is quite a busy airspace, but this is a short flight. Basically, it's a really fast flight. You need to be prepared for that. So preparations should be based on that short flight. So you should be a little bit proactive for the short flights for 777. It's not like 100 passenger. It's like sometimes 350, 400 passengers in the plane. So this is also important from cabin crew and the pilot's perspective to manage the flight very well if it is a really short flight. Alright, after Riyadh flight, it was a simulator time for me. It's again simulator, I know, but that was my own simulator. Unlike the previous month, that month I was flying my own simulator. It was manual handling simulator. The sole purpose of this simulator is to improve my manual handling skills. Most of the time in the airline jobs, you are flying with automation. The automation takes care of everything. So you don't need to fly manually. You don't need to manage the thrust manually. Everything is done by automation. But of course, that brings some disadvantages. First of all, your skills are degraded. Therefore, once every 6 months, we are practicing manual handling so that you can gain self-confidence. It's not like just flying from point A to point B. Actually, it's all about practicing challenging maneuvers. Of course, some maneuvers are not challenging when you are flying Cessna, because Cessna or Piper, they're small airplanes. They are relatively slow. You have many times to adjust your path, correct your routing, altitude, whatever it is. But imagine when you are doing circuits, traffic patterns with Cessna and Piper, you have all the time available in front of you. But if you are doing the same with 777, one circuit will be in 2-3 minutes. You shouldn't be behind of the airplane. That's why you need to be in the front. These kind of maneuvers are helping us, as I told you before, to improve our skills. Simulators are full flight simulators. So basically, you can practice many things with that simulators. Let me give you an example. You can perform normal operations. You can perform non-normal operations such as engine failure, hydraulic problems, flight control problems, landing gear problems, and also you can practice many challenging approaches, visual patterns, touch and goes, go arounds, bulk landings. These kind of things can be done easily via full flight simulators. That's a good opportunity. That's why it's good for me. I never take simulator as an exam. I always see it as an opportunity to improve myself. That's good for some reasons. First of all, I always see the simulator in a challenging environment so I can challenge myself. Because in the real life, you cannot challenge yourself. It's a real operation. You need to take care of the passengers. You cannot bang the airplane, you cannot pitch up, you cannot do these things. But here, within the limits, you can have more flexibility. There is no way to do a visual circus with 777 when you have 400 passengers with you. That's why it's a fun simulator. It's really nice. And the main purpose of the simulator is training. And after simulator, I got a rest day, and after rest day, I flew to Nairobi. It's already 5th day of the month, and I didn't get any day off. Sometimes it happens like this, and sometimes you have 5 days off in a row. That's the nature of our job. Alright, let me give you quick statistics about this flight. The first sector was 5 hours 3 minutes, and the return sector was 4 hours 54 minutes. And it was a short layover, it's 16 hours only. Maybe this is one of the shortest layovers in my career in this airline. The routing from Dubai to Nairobi, you are flying over Muscat airspace, Yemeni airspace, Mogadishu airspace, then Addis Ababa, and then finally Nairobi. I love African flight. They're quiet. And over Mogadishu airspace, we are making in-flight broadcasting procedure. So what's the purpose of this broadcasting? Basically, it's exactly like this. I'm listening the frequency, right? Then someone is just recording their position, location, altitude, and I'm trying to create 3D visual image in my brain. This airplane is going from there to there. Is it in the same band? Are they going to westbound or eastbound? What's their altitude? In the next coming 10 minutes, are we gonna have any conflict with the trajectory? These kind of things. You know, literally, you listen each traffic and you get their estimated time of arrival for a certain waypoint. And then, based on this knowledge, you just create 3D visual model. And that's the basics of in-flight broadcasting. Of course, there are some supportive tools like CPDLC, SATCOM communication, but still, the old traditional method works really nice. I really like hotel in Nairobi. I love it so much. But to be honest, I didn't do anything because it was a short layover. It's only 16 hours, so nothing much to do. But I want to give my previous examples about Nairobi. I have tried alligator meat for the first time in my life at Nairobi. That was an awesome experience. It's like a chicken meat. Before, I would never say it's like a chicken, but to be honest, it's like a chicken. I know if you if you are very traditional when it comes to trying new foods, maybe you're not gonna enjoy it. But to be honest, it's nothing different than the chicken. I love it so much. And also there are actually lots of attractions that you can make in Nairobi, but unfortunately most of the layovers that I have in Nairobi was short. Now I'm looking forward to have a long layover so that I can go safari, I can do many attractions there, outdoor, forest. This is really nice because Nairobi lies on equator line. The climate is good and it's green. There are lots of opportunities. There are lots of attractions that you can make while you are in Nairobi. After Nairobi, finally I got 2 days off. Yeah, I worked a lot. I worked hard, so there was time for me to rest. And after 2 days off, I went to Miami. That was a dream destination for me and I bid for it. In February, I was top bid. So basically, I could choose where I will go. Of course, if you bid your biddings in a wise way. So I bid Miami flight and I get it. I was super excited because Florida is really important for me. That's the place where I learned how to fly. And that was the first time for me to fly Miami after 8 years. That was a unique experience. And also I would like to give lots of information about this Miami flight. As we all know, Miami in Florida, and Florida is sun-shining states of the United States. It's all year summer. Okay, time to time you can have cold weather as well, but I was there in February and still people were swimming, imagine. And at the same time, northern part of the United States was under snow like 2 meters. I'm not kidding. I have my cousin living in the United States in the Chicago area. You should have seen the snow there. And meanwhile, I was on the beach. That was an amazing thing. All right, let's continue. The Miami flight was the longest flight for me ever up to now. It is 16 hours, 27 minutes. Yeah, that was my personal record. From Europe to United States, just flying over Atlantic Ocean. There are some rules to fly over Atlantic Ocean. First of all, you need to get a clearance. Clearance can be get through either computerized message or by voice. So basically what you're asking as a clearance, you're just saying the related control unit, your estimated arrival time for the oceanic entrance point, your speed and your altitude. And if you have any specific request, you can also ask for it. That's basically it. The main communication tool there is, most of the time we are using CPDLC, but of course you need to make an HF reporting. At HF, there's a cell call check. Basically, when you have a cell call check via HF, you don't need to actively listen HF frequencies, because HF there are really lots of noise on that and it's really tiring to listen. But most of the time we are using CPDLC. It's a computerized messages. That's good for us. Over North Atlantic, you can either fly random routing or you can fly via NetTrax. Before talking about the NetTrax, I will give you a little bit more information about RVSM airspace. RVSM airspace, most of the time, the traffic is either eastbound or westbound. They're separated by 1,000 feet in RVSM airspace. So basically, if you're flying towards the west, let's say you're having even level. So it's like 300, then the next one 310 is easterly, then 320 is westerly. So basically between two flights level, westerly flight level, there are 2,000 feet in RVSM airspace, because 300 and 320, there are 2,000 feet in between. But in North Atlantic tracks, since it's a busy time, they are separated by 1,000 feet. It's not like normal flow. Let me tell you how they are designed. So basically, if you draw a line from 30 west, and if you fly from east to west, if you are in a certain time frame, all the tracks from east to west are separated by 1,000 feet. And these tracks, if you're flying westerly, between 1130 to 1900 Zulu, and you're gonna have 1,000 feet differences between these tracks. If you are on that track, let's say Whiskey, you can use 300, 310, 320, 340 levels. Likewise, nighttime dominant flow is from United States towards to Europe, so easterly. At that time, tracks are designed easterly. If you draw a line and if you're flying from 1 AM Zulu to 8 AM Zulu, then in that case, all tracks are easterly. So you don't need to fly normally, even RVSM airspace, easterly flight routes are like 29, 31, 33, but in that case, you can fly 300, 310, 320. Basically, I'm trying to say this direction of the flow changes. I don't want to give technical details about it, but same airspace structure are used for westerly and easterly depending of the time. But that was not the case for us. Yeah, I talked a lot about it, but now I'm telling you that was not the case for us. Yes, because we flew southern part of the North Atlantic airspace. So basically, we were not there. We used random routing. In that flight, our routing was southerly. So basically, we start flying over Santa Maria, then New York Oceanic. And meanwhile, we flew over Azores and I flew over Bermuda Triangle. Guys, it's a total myth. There's no such a thing that we cannot fly over it. There's even one airport over Bermuda Island, and it's an alternate for us. And the thing is, the Bermuda Triangle is subject to tropical storms and hurricanes and lots of weather events. That's why maybe in the history there were lots of accidents, or the ship's accident, airplane accident. I even recorded a video for you. As you can see, there's nothing different from the rest of the world. So it's a total myth. After Bermuda Triangle, directly you're approaching the coastal line of Florida, and Miami Airport, Miami International Airport, is just a little bit further from the coastal line of the Florida. And Miami and Florida is special for me. I took my flight training over there. I stayed in Florida for 3 months and I was based in Vero Beach. And I loved flying over oceans, and I love flying over South Beach. Literally, we were flying over South Beach at 500 feet. That was an amazing experience for me. I landed in Miami, which is Miami Executive Airport before, but I've never landed Miami International. That was first landing for me to Miami International Airport. I love it so much. And we were 4 pilots. I described what is operating pilot, what is an augmenting pilot in the previous video. You can refer back this video. Now I'm not gonna give details about it, but you can check it from the previous video. Yeah, after landing, we just cleared the immigration, we went to hotel. Guys, hotel was on an amazing location. Literally, it was on the beach. And that was an amazing location. I would say one of the best locations I have ever stayed. And the hotel is just lying on the beach. You have direct access to the beach, and you can walk, swim, you can rent a bike, you can cycle through the Miami beach. That was an awesome experience for me. So we stayed on the northern part of the South Beach, but you can access the South Beach easily, either by 30 minutes walk or by a bike. But I want to say, you know, I know most of you guys played GTA Vice City, right? I know Miami by heart, but still, when I went there for the first time, Ocean Drive, bars, restaurant, beach, people are skating, I was shocked, you know? I feel like, wow, I'm in the game. For the first time I was in Miami, and I was in GTA Vice City. But after that, I've been in Miami regularly many times. I went to South Beach. I enjoy my time there as well. And also, I did some grocery shopping there because in United States, you can find high quality of products, relatively cheaper price than Dubai. So that's what I'm doing most of the time. I do my shopping there. And return sector was way shorter than the previous sector. It is 13 hours, 42 minutes. That's because of the tailwind. When you're flying from Europe to United States, most of the time you have headwinds. But on the other hand, from US to Europe, you have always tailwinds. So that's why it's reducing the flight time significantly. And on the return sector, we follow net tracks. It's not like random routing. When we are coming to United States, we were flying southerly. But on the way to Dubai, we were flying northerly. So we flew on the northern tracks. That's it. Then I flew back to Dubai. Then I got 3 days off in Dubai. And my next flight was to Istanbul. Yes, I'm from Turkey, and that's my first bidding for the month. That's my home, and also I bidded for this flight. I was lucky and I got it, and the flight is an amazing flight. It's a daytime flight, around 5 hours. It's not tiring. You land Istanbul around 7-8 p.m. You have all evening, so you can go nice restaurant, you can eat nice Turkish food. That's exactly what I have done. Well, that's a level for pilots only, so we are lucky. Unfortunately, cabin crew had to go back to Dubai with the return flight, and we have stayed there for a day. That was an amazing thing for me. I've seen my sister, we had breakfast together. That was a great opportunity for me to see family. I love Istanbul flights. Okay, let me give you a couple of details about the flight. Most of the time when you fly from Dubai to Istanbul, you're flying northerly initially. So you're flying over Bahrain, then Kuwait, then Iraq, then Turkey, then finally from Turkey to Istanbul. Right now, Istanbul is the busiest airport in Europe. Literally speaking, it's a huge airport there and the busiest now. Because most of the airports in Europe right now, they're not operating 100%. But on contrast to that, Istanbul is really doing well because of the current conditions right now, what's happening around Europe and the world. Turkey is the key point for that. That's why lots of flights are taking place towards the Istanbul, and there are lots of flights flying over Turkish airspace. That was a nice hotel. They literally gave me a 2-bedroom apartment. It's not an hotel. That was the literally biggest hotel room I have ever seen in my career. I would like to talk a little bit about the airport. Istanbul airport is really big, huge airport. It's planned to have 6 different runways there. It's a huge and very complex structure. Of course, there are some advantages and disadvantages. I would like to say some advantages first. It's very nice design. It's very luxury. When you fly most of the time the outstations, you see it. You know, the airports are old, ceiling is not that high, and also it's not modern, let's put it that way. But when you go inside the Istanbul airport, I'm 100% sure you will be amazed. It's one of the best airports, literally speaking, one of the best airports I have ever seen. Of course, there are lots of challenges as well. First of all, it's outside of the city, and at the same time, there's not proper public transportation. Okay, there are some buses, but they're like once every 30, 40 minutes. It's bad. There's no still subway connection to the Istanbul, but they are constructing now. After a couple of years, everything will be better. And also, runway orientation for the airport is not designed very well. Most of the time you have crosswind. And if you have a look at the wind turbines over there, you can see they're pointing towards the runway, which means that 90 degrees offset. And that's true, most of the time you're having 10 to 15 degrees of crosswind. So the previous airport, the old airport, Istanbul Atatürk Airport, the runway alignment was 0523. And the new ones, they're like 17 and 35. So 170 degrees and 350 degrees. And most of the time in this crosswind, that was perfect for Istanbul Atatürk Airport, but not perfect for Istanbul Airport. Okay, never mind. It has been done. We cannot change it, right? I'll move on. Then the problem, second problem there, you walk a lot. You know, when I just step out of the airplane, I start my timer, and it took literally 50 minutes to leave the airport. I'm not kidding. We waited for suitcases for maybe 30 minutes because it's a huge airport. Going from point A to point B in the airport takes too much time. And the hotel was close by, it's 30 minutes. I'm saying close 30 minutes because there's absolutely nothing around the airfield. And then I went there for 27 hours layover. That was good. I bought baklava for my friends, for the next crew, and for Dubai for myself. I love Istanbul. I wouldn't complain to go Istanbul once a week, to be honest. And I always beat Istanbul flights. The return flight was 4 hours 19 minutes. That was an uneventful flight. And in Dubai, I got a day off. And after day off, I flew to Oslo. Flight to Oslo was 7 hours 6 minutes. It's a long flight, to be honest. And it was a cold destination, as you can guess. Oslo in winter time can be sometimes quite cold, but I was lucky. It was not that bad. Temperature was fluctuating between 0 to 7, 8 degrees. In daytime, it was like 7 degrees, but when it is evening, it was getting colder and colder. It was a 2 full days layover. I got my laptop with me. I edited my videos. I made subtitles, and I spent my time like this because literally you have 2 days at the hotel. Operations to Oslo can be quite challenging because if you are going there at winter, the temperature can be low, there might be a snow, and you can apply cold weather operations combined with the de-icing. It's really challenging because normally in Dubai we are not having this kind of cold weather operations at all. And sometimes you're not flying Europe for a couple of months and you skip this part while you are in the Middle East or Asia. Therefore, what I'm trying to say, sometimes you don't even deal with this kind of de-icing, anti-icing, cold weather correction, cold weather supplementary procedures for 3-4 years. And after 3 years, if you fly to a destination where there are lots of snow, like Russia, like Norway, like Sweden, then everything can be quite challenging for you because you're not doing it every day. For me, for instance, when I was in Turkish Airlines, sometimes I was doing 3-4 times de-icing, anti-icing in a day because eastern part of Turkey is very cold and it's snowy all the time. But since I joined here, I haven't made any de-icing, anti-icing procedure at all. Of course, I'm not that used to anymore. Of course, we are referring back to manuals, reading. It's like a math, do it by memory, read and do procedures. But at the end of the day, still, you need to be more confident. That's why before going these destinations, I always practice at home. I read the specific parts. What should we do? What should I do in case there's a cold weather operation there or there's icing conditions? If we need to make the icing, anti-icing, what is the requirements? I always study 1 day prior. That being said, I must say that we are so lucky we didn't do any of this because the weather was really nice. It was cold, but there was no precipitation at all. So we could avoid the icing and anti-icing. Number 1 item for me when we are talking about Oslo is salmon. Yeah, I have done many freighter flights to Oslo. Time to time we were carrying 30 tons, 35 tons of salmon, literally. And that's why I feel like I had to eat salmon, and I ate it. I love Norwegian salmon. Yeah, that was a good 2 days for me. I've done many things at the hotel room, so I use my time efficiently. And The return sector was uneventful, and that was 6 hours 37 minutes. That's it. Okay, my next flight was to Amsterdam. I would like to give some really nice coincidence for you. Previously, we have talked about Oslo flight. The first sector of the Oslo flight was 7 hours 6 minutes. And this flight exactly, Amsterdam, from Dubai to Amsterdam, 7 hours 6 minutes. And the return sector from Oslo was 6 hours 37 minutes. And here, similarly, is 6 hours 36 minutes, only 1 minute difference. First sectors are exactly the same. The second sectors is 1 minute shorter. Can you believe it? What a nice coincidence. And it's totally two different routing. And Oslo, you fly over Russia, and Amsterdam, you fly over Turkey and Balkans and Europe. But the flight time is almost identical. That was a nice coincidence. All right, I would like to talk a little bit about Amsterdam flight. I've been in Amsterdam many times, but that flight was a little bit different. This flight was freighter flight. Yeah, it's not a passenger flight. I love freighter flights. Before, we used to make many freighter flights, especially during pandemic, there were more freighters, but nowadays the sector and the market is recovering, so we're having more passenger flights. But to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I love freighter flights a lot. Maybe if I change my company, I would like to work for a freighter company. It's no hassle. Everything is relaxed. It's not like a tight schedule. You can, of course, in freighter flights, you can be late. There are some delays because it's not, you don't need to run after a schedule. That's a good thing. But at the same time, freighter flights, you're only two pilots and there's a freight behind. They're not complaining, and it's a good, you're just dealing everything on your own. That's a good thing. I love it a lot. Yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. This is one of the most challenging airports in Europe. I don't know the statistics, but I can bet that the #1 wind shear events should be recorded into the airport because wind is changing a lot, and therefore landing runways are changing a lot. It's a mess. You're preparing for a runway, you start for your descent, and halfway through they change runway. Then you continue, then they change the runway again. It's constantly changing, and it's like hustle. It's really challenging. You need to mentally prepare for the flight because no matter how hard you prepared before, they will change the runway. So you need to manage your time wisely when you're getting lower and lower and lower altitudes. So basically be prepared to change the runway at 10,000 feet. That's basically how it is. And it's heavily regulated. There are lots of regulations there. You shouldn't skip anything there. And also there is one interesting fact about Schiphol Airport. It's below the sea level. Yes, I'm not kidding. It's below the sea level. It's minus 10 feet. Can you imagine? Most of the time you have airports at mountain level, like 3,000 feet, 500 feet, 300 feet. But I've never seen any airport apart from Schiphol, which is minus 10 feet, like around 3.3 meters below the sea level. That's unique experience, right? If you know any other airports below sea level, please drop a message down to me. I would like to learn as well. That was an amazing layover, 29 hours. It's an airport hotel, but there's a metro. I love European destinations because basically metro system in European cities are very well developed. So you can go anywhere you want via metro. That's nice. But in United States, there is no way to commute between the hotel to city center. Either you need to rent a car or you need to use the hotel transportation or whatsoever. That's why I like European destinations for this aspect. Alright guys, that's it. That concludes my flights in February. Yeah, let me give you a quick recap. I was top bid in February and I got really nice destinations. So I flew Riyadh, and thereafter I got manual handling simulator, and thereafter I flew to Miami, Istanbul. These two destinations I bid, and also I got Oslo and Amsterdam. So basically it's a quite luxury for me to fly the West all the time. I really enjoyed it. Being top bid always works. If you bid it logically, you can get what you want. Yeah, that being said, I got 8 days off minimum. Yeah, I know, minimum you need to get 8 days off, and I got 8 days off. But still, it was a perfect month for me. I flew 80 hours, 36 minutes in February. It's a quite nice flying hours because the previous month I didn't fly at all, like around 49, 50 hours. Now it's 80 hours. And I also get 3 rest days and 1 simulator sessions. So imagine almost 81 hours flight, 8 days off, 3 rest day, 1 simulators, and many flights to Europe. In this month, I flew over Gulf, I flew over Middle East, Europe, North Atlantic, and North America. That was really nice month for me. I was top it, as I told you before. Next month was gonna be a surprise month for me because next month I am on reserve. So I'm not gonna have any roster. It's gonna be a good video, I guess, because I don't know what am I gonna do. This is nice, but I would like to tell you my guess beforehand because I don't know my roster yet. But most probably I will have 4 or 5 flights and I will have more off days. But that's my guess. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Alright, that's it for today. Before going, as usual, please do not forget to like my videos, subscribe my channel and hit the bell button. Alright, see you in the next videos. Bye bye.